From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. Stock markets worldwide are careening even lower Friday after China matched President Donald Trump's big raise in tariffs in an escalating trade war. Not even a better than expected report on the U.S. job market, which is usually the economic highlight of each month, was enough to stop the slide. As of 1:15 p.m., the S&P 500 was down 4.7% after earlier dropping more than 5%, following its worst day since COVID wrecked the global economy in 2020. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 1,921 points, or 4.7%, and the NASDAQ Composite was 5.5% lower. So far, there are few, if any, winners in financial markets from the trade war. European stocks saw some of the day's biggest losses, with indexes shrinking roughly 4%. The price of crude oil tumbled to its lowest level since 2021. Other basic building blocks for economic growth, such as copper, also saw prices slide on worries the trade war will weaken the global economy. Markets briefly recovered some of their losses after the release of Friday morning's U.S. jobs report, which said employers accelerated their hiring by more last month than economists expected. It's the latest signal that the U.S. job market had remained relatively solid through the start of 2025, and it's been a linchpin keeping the U.S. economy out of a recession. But that jobs data was backward-looking, and the fear hitting financial markets is about what's to come. One could argue that the unemployment numbers are remnants from the Biden administration and rulings from federal court judges reinstating laid-off federal employees. The world has changed and the economic conditions have changed, said Rick Reeder, Chief Investment Officer of Global Fixed Income at BlackRock. And now this news from the U.S. Senate. After a long wait, the Senate is launching action on President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts at a risky moment for the U.S. and global economy. More than a month after House Republicans surprised Washington by advancing their framework for Trump's $4.5 trillion in tax breaks and $2 trillion in spending cuts, Senate Republicans voted Thursday to start working on their version. The largely party-line vote, 52-48, sets the stage for a potential Senate all-nighter on Friday, spilling into the weekend. But work on the multi-trillion-dollar package is coming as markets at home and abroad are on edge in the aftermath of Trump's vast tariff scheme, complicating an already difficult political and procedural undertaking on what Republicans hope will become their signature domestic policy package. Senate Majority Leader John Thune opened the chamber Thursday, saying they are expected to be ready to begin. Trump says he's on board with the plan, and Republicans in control of Congress are eager to show the party is making progress toward delivering on their campaign promises. By nightfall, as voting began, one Republican, the Libertarian-leaning Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, voted against, as did all Democrats. Democrats, as the minority party, don't have the votes to stop the GOP plan, but they intend to use the procedural tools available to prolong the process. Democrats argue that Republicans are focusing on tax breaks for the wealthy at the expense of the programs and services millions of Americans rely on for help with health care, child care, school lunches, and other everyday needs. They're mean, they're nasty, they're uncaring, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said about the Republicans. We tonight and tomorrow are going to show just who they are. Senate Democrats started consuming up to 25 hours of their available debate time, holding the floor into the night and railing against potential GOP cuts to Medicaid, veterans programs, DOGE cuts, and the impact of Trump's tariffs. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, the ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee, repeated a slogan he has been sharing: families lose and billionaires win. That, he said, is the Republican plan. If you listen to our news programs on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the PEP Radio channel. You can also find our videos on Facebook and Blue Sky. That's the news at this hour. Now back to more music on PEP Radio.